welcome. Hello, Francis. Welcome to a special episode where we're going to be talking today about writing and other things. I'm joined today by none other than Francis Carlisle from Last
Hello.
Minute English. Hello.
Hi, Luke.
Just
How was,
about said, how was your Thanksgiving? And then I realized it's exclusive to me. So how was your World Cup? Maybe I could say that.
I did have a World Cup. I'm continuing to have a World Cup.
Yeah.
And my World Cup will be continuing tomorrow when England play Wales. And Luke,
Nice.
something people often ask me is why a country is playing itself.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
valid question. I was about to ask that.
yeah.
Because they're
Well,
so good, they need two teams. Is that what it is?
uh, the English record in the World Cup speaks for itself
Yeah.
in the sense that it speaks badly and is indeed bad.
See, I didn't even know
Um,
if that was sarcasm at first because I know that little about the football. So,
Yeah. England are not very good. For anyone who's watching, we should be better than we are.
because
Um,
isn't it like it's the sport that everyone talks about, right? So,
mhm. It's our national sport.
yeah.
But there have
Well, it might be
been.
cricket.
No. I mean, cricket is probably in number 2 or 3 spot, but
Okay.
head and shoulders is a good phrase. Head and shoulders above everyone else. Everything else is football. It's by far the most popular sport.
That's interesting.
And
But before we get started, I just have one other question. Guys, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're going to be talking about writing today. If you haven't done so already, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things today. Francis will be answering some questions. I'll be answering some questions. We'll be going into writing. So, welcome. But uh, baseball is the national sport of the United States. But to be honest, I don't think it's that popular anymore. At least it's dwindling. Whereas
mm,
football, American football rather, is huge. So we have the case, and basketball as well. We have the case of the national sport being kind of like, yeah, okay, some people above the age of 53 watch baseball, but basketball and American football are
mm.
huge. It's weird.
But then does that stop being the national sport? Surely the national sport is a flexible thing.
I
You
thought it
can't
was
just
a designation and didn't fluctuate by popularity. Because when I think of England, I think of cricket
mm,
because I think of football associated with so many other places, right?
mhm.
If I think of Brazil, also football,
Right.
for example. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know how it works, to be honest.
I also don't have the answer to this, but if I were allowed to decide the answer, um, it would be that it's based on popularity. And it doesn't change kind of easily, but it can change. So if baseball continues to decline and it gets to a stage where there's only 3 people who play it, one of them throws and one of them hits and the other one runs and gets it, then
That's
sure.
baseball and cricket. You just described those two sports.
Well, yeah. Um, bowling, batting, and fielding.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's not a national sport anymore, is it? That's a sport for for one household. So surely it has to be that it's based on popularity and can change.
Okay, I don't want to get into this again with the hamper thing. I see we have some people joining. This is great, fantastic, but just I can't resist just very quickly hopping over to good old Wikipedia. Um, and let's see what we've got
Wikipedia.
here. A national sport is considered to be an intrinsic part of, can you see
Mhm.
this? Of the culture of a nation. Some sports
Mhm.
are de facto not established by law national sports, as sumo is in Japan, and Gaelic games are in Ireland, and field hockey in Pakistan, while others are de jure established by law. National sports, taekwondo in South Korea, for example. So it looks like we have a variety of different types, officially recognized and unofficial. So let's see
Hmm.
what we don't have one for. Oh, here we go. England. Cricket. Oh my goodness.
What? It's,
How about that? Let's see if I can find the United States here. Baseball. There it is.
yeah, yeah.
And it's not popular. It's not that popular. So interesting.
Ah,
Well, we both
that's
learned something.
that's very surprising.
I'm telling you, that's
I
my
mean, what?
conception of England. I think of cricket before football, even though I know everyone talks about their team, their football team, rather than their favorite cricket team.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't even have a favorite cricket team. Most people's favorite cricket team is just the England cricket team.
Right. Well, I would say then cricket, football is to England what cricket is to India.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost a religion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's serious business. You don't want to mess around. All right. Nerlin is here and Mega is here. Romelia is here. I don't know, Francis, are you able to see comments where you are on
I
your screen?
I can sort of do a workaround and see them.
Okay, you're looking at this. You're looking at the live stream.
I'm looking at YouTube. Yeah, so Romelia is there. I can see Romelia's comments.
Okay, we may
So
have some
hello,
people
Romelia.
coming in from Facebook as well, so
Mm.
we'll see. Romelia says, Francis, just finished your writing essay on Udemy. Love it. Looking forward to having it completed. Fantastic.
Yes. That's a compliment and also some pressure in one comment. So thank you,
I would
Romelia.
say also, if I could just toss, I don't want to tell you how to take Francis's course, but enjoy the process. Don't focus on getting it completed, you know?
But it sounds like Romelia's enjoyed the process up to the point of the course being completed.
Well, what I tell my students with my courses is don't complete it. Stop the last video of the last lesson of the last video like 10 seconds before, because it's not about that.
Mm.
All right. So, listen, Francis, do you want to just, because we're both kind of, I don't know who's hosting this business, but you want to talk a little bit about what you do and then what we're going to do today?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Luke.
Oh, thank you.
Hello to everyone who knows me. And if you don't know Luke, this is Luke. Hello, Luke. Luke is another excellent teacher on Udemy. And if you know Luke and you don't know me, hello. Nice to
Hello.
meet you. Thank you for coming. Very nice to make your acquaintance. So my name is Francis, and my company is called Last Minute English. And we basically, we teach you English and we help you with pretty high level and difficult things in English. For example, if you want to take the IELTS exam and you want to get a high score, then we're here to help you. And if you want to, you've got to pretty good English grammar, but you want to just get to that final level, then we're here to help you. So that's basically what we do. And we have lots of courses available on Udemy. And I believe I'm right, Luke, that there are some links down here that we'll talk about later. And what we're going to do today is focused on one course in particular. Now, that's a new course that I've released called Master English Essays. And that course is basically for anyone who has to write essays in English. Okay, so it might be for the IELTS exam, for TOEFL, for the PTE, or it might just be for if you're studying English as your major in university and you have to write essays, or even in high school you might have to write essays, or maybe you just enjoy writing and you want to improve your writing.
Is a cover
And
letter an essay?
I beg your pardon?
Is a cover letter an essay?
Is a cover letter an essay? Um, Not in any real sense, although some of the aspects of writing a cover letter are connected to writing an essay. Like it has to be logical, it has to be focused and concise. But anyway, it's a good question. But what we're going to do today, Luke and I are going to write an essay together. And we're going to follow kind of a step-by-step process that hopefully everyone watching will be able to follow in the future as well. So we're going to see. This is an experiment, though.
It's an
Luke, right?
experiment.
This is something that we haven't prepared.
High wire act.
Our preparation for this was to say, do you want to prepare or do you want
No.
to try and do it live? And we decided to do it live because
Well,
I'm so confident, Luke, in our ability, but also in the step-by-step process, which is part of that course, that I think that we can do it live and do a pretty good job.
yeah, I think that's good proof of concept. If we're
Hmm.
preparing a lot of stuff in advance, then it really feels like, well, I don't know if you're really doing that, right? If we're just sort of pasting things in that we've done before. So I think working through it will be definitely a better way to go. So we're going to talk more about the courses later, but I was just frantically, as you were talking, looking up what my course is called because I forgot.
Master English Writing, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's right. So what I'm curious to see is because I haven't taken your course, and actually we arrived at this from two completely different angles. Because I have a one section of my course is dedicated to essays and structure and stuff, but it's more broadly focused on writing skills. And I wrote and recorded this course back in early 2020 during the depths of the pandemic. It's only just now coming out. So it's interesting that we're sort of both releasing a writing course pretty much at the same time. It's quite interesting. I tend to do stuff the pipeline is so long. I'll write something like 4 years before it comes out. I'm working on that. So, and as we go along, if anyone has questions about, you can ask general questions, but it would be better if we could kind of stay on topic for today. So if you have questions about structure, about a specific writing case, I think if it's not strictly about essays, that's fine. If it's a general writing question, that's fine. But now is a good opportunity to think about some of the things you've been struggling with in terms of writing, how to put your thoughts together, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. But Francis, why don't we just get into it, shall we?
All right.
So let's hop over to the Blackboard. I can change any of this if you're not happy with it. Can we just say English essay at the top? Does that work for you?
It's a fantastic title.
Thank you.
It's everything you need in a title.
Now, I have my own concept of the order, but in my course doesn't present any strict order of steps. So I think I should defer to you on this one. So what do we do? Tell me what to do, right. Francis.
So first you'll pick up your pen. No, you won't, because we're typing it.
I am to Francis as Kathy is to Luke.
So the first thing we have to do, more than anything else, is to look at the question.
Okay.
So
boink.
Here we go. We've got two questions that we're going to look at. So we're going to choose one of these.
Move this over a little bit if that's okay.
Oh, yes. I'll allow it. It's highly
okay, you'll allow that. Great.
Allow
Thank you so much. I just wanted it to be very visible,
So these are both IELTS writing essays, but I mean, they're pretty similar to many different, like a TOEFL essay and a PTE essay and some different exam essays as well. So we're going to choose one of these, and the first step, the most important thing, is to kind of look carefully at that question and to kind of break it down into what I call the core question. So what I mean by the core question is a shorter, simpler way of expressing that same question that we can easily look at and we know exactly what the question is asking us. So we'll get onto that in just a minute. But Luke,
I like that.
For you, which of these would you like to...
Well, let me just read through them and then we can kind of talk through it. So let's go to question number 1. The leaders of most organizations tend to be older people. However, Some argue that younger people make better bosses. To what extent do you agree or disagree? And then question 2. People living in the 21st century have a better life quality than people who lived in previous times, not specified. To what extent do you agree or disagree? You've lumped in previous times there into. I mean, that's. I take issue with that, but we'll let it slide. I mean, if you're living in ancient Egypt as opposed to, peasant town. Anyway,
Peasanton, it's pronounced.
Peasanton, yeah. To me, I the first one kind of sticks out to me. I like it better. What do you think? I don't have a strong opinion about it. I could go either way, but that one popped out to me for sure.
Well, I mean, I have sort of worked on both of these, and I think anyone who's taken that course will recognize question 2, because it's one that we talk about a little bit in the course. We don't focus exclusively on that question, but it is part of that course. So yeah, I think 1. We'll keep
let's
it
go
fresh.
let's go with 1.
All right. So
we're going to go with so do we want to stay on this and look at the core then? So would it make sense if I just delete question 2 and then underneath we sort of get to the core, as they say, or as you say?
Get to the core.
Get to the core.
Get to the core if you want to live. Get to the core if you want to get a good score. Ooh.
All right, that's a good that's catchy. I like that.
So what we have to do, I mean, let's look at this. The to what extent do you agree or disagree is one of the standard question styles in IELTS Task 2. So really, that's just telling us that this is an opinion type of essay.
Okay, can I stop you right there then? So it's very important to understand that there's content and structure, and there aren't that many structures, but there might be a lot of different kinds of content. So the topics may vary widely, but you can learn the structures of the common questions, and the agree or disagree, you at least know what you're getting into, so you can know that going in. And if it's this type of question, you will have practiced that many times, so you feel ready for it no matter what the topic happens to be, right?
That is, yes, that's exactly right. You can look at the final sentence of the question and aha, it's one of those. And then you're right, the first part is it could be almost anything. It's super varied, but the second part, the structure part of the question, is in IELTS, one of about four or five different types.
Right. So, I mean, just knowing those 4 different types is a huge advantage, and having prepared for those types, because then one of the things that happens in exams is you didn't prepare well enough or correctly. You go in, and then you're overwhelmed by the format. It's not the questions you're overwhelmed by. You're just not used to what's going on here. So if you have at least prepared yourself for what's going on here, what types of questions will I be asked, that's a level of comfort that you will have, which will allow you to then focus your nervous energy on the stuff that matters, right?
Exactly right, yeah. So what we have to do from here is to break down that stuff from the leaders all the way down to better bosses, and think how we can express that in as few words as possible, in as short a form as possible, while still keeping the same meaning of the question. So
shall we throw that out then to those watching, and we can check these for you. We're going to be doing this, but as a challenge, try to, I like to say boil it down, but fair enough. Get to the core, boil it down. What is this basically about, right? Do you have a word limit on that? Do you like to keep it to one sentence? Do you have to, one sentence, right?
One sentence, one clause. So no commas, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well,
Try to
because you
keep
could
it
do
sort
that
of,
for the rest of your life if you wanted to.
and,
Yeah.
but, or
Yeah.
um,
Yes, exactly.
probably about like maybe 6 to 8 words.
Okay. So no coordinating conjunctions, only subordinating conjunctions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coordinating conjunctions are a cop out. All right. So let's take a look at some of the things we've got here. Um, MYUEY says, "Hi, I'm struggling that I can't gather my scattered opinion. Always agree with
Mm-hmm.
both positions to some extent." I mean, this is, I think, a classic issue
Yeah,
of the deer in the headlights. How do you
exactly.
deal with that? By the way, keep putting your clauses in there, or your basic descriptions in there. We're going to take a look in a second.
But that is, Luca, a very common thing. Like, I agree with both sides. I've got ideas for both sides. How do I kind of bring it together and organize it? And that's part of the process that we're going to work through. But that's very common. That's
Yeah.
very like very understandable.
I think what one thing that might help is to just visualize as soon as that happens, Francis just appears and slaps you across the face and says, "Just pick one." Because
But that
that's what it boils down to. Just pick one.
but that isn't what I would say.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say,
That's what I would
well, I
say.
mean, I'm going to give everyone a preview of.
That's where we differ, Francis. We have different styles, and that's okay. But that's what I would do. Just one of them's fine.
So then you pick Luke. You pick Luke, and you imagine Luke in your head, and
Yeah.
Luke can come and
Right.
violently slap you across the face,
Yeah.
get you
I
ready
have a
to.
tense relationship with my audience.
Do you start your videos by saying, "Oh, you're back again"?
Oh, great.
Well,
Now I have to do another one of these. Exactly. Yeah. I don't want
dear.
to be here. I have to be here. I'm being forced by my audience. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to deal with that question later then. We're
We
not going
are.
to deal with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's coming in like 2 steps time.
Okay. How many steps?
About two.
I don't know why that's very funny. I was expecting like 30 or something, but okay, 2 is good. We'd be here all day. Okay. Aspiring says, I'm going to pop these up on screen. If you want yours not to be popped up on screen, just, well, say so, I suppose. Older people have more experience. I don't know if is that boiling it down? How would you feel? How do you feel about that one?
No, so I think that this is, the sort of thing that, well, let me see. No, this is an opinion. This is
Okay,
this
that's
is
the answer.
yes, exactly. That's an idea that we'll get to later. So let's
Got it.
save that one aspiring. Just kind of put that one to the side. We're
I
going
like
to make
that.
two buckets of ideas later, and you can put that in one of your buckets. But that isn't the core question.
So, yes, we're just getting to the core question first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing a lot of things like this. Young people do a better job. Again, I'm seeing this as an opinion. That's an idea that you could talk about in your essay, but that's not what we're trying to do in this step. What we're trying to do in this step is simplify the question so that we're not overthinking it, right? Most CEOs are over 40. I think that would be supporting evidence for your idea.
Exactly.
Then probably.
Yeah, that's a nice bit of like an example or data or something like that.
Yes.
But that's useful. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm seeing in the comments, Luke, that a lot of people, are coming up with very good ideas, but it's not quite the core question. And so we're jumping ahead a little bit. So how about you and I move, unless you've got some that you can see, some comments, but how about you and I say what we think the core question here would be?
That works for me. Let's do it.
So, now Aspiring has just sent one. Younger bosses are argued to be better than older ones. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's much closer to what it could be. I think that's a much better core question.
Okay.
Younger are argued to be better than older ones.
I think we could simplify the phrasing even more, though. Because
Indeed.
our argued to be is the phrasing of the original prompt, and that's possibly even overcomplicated.
So I think that the core question, Luke, is actually hidden in the main question. So
Okay.
I think if we just look at the words from younger through to bosses, then we're gonna find the core question. So younger
Younger
people,
through to bosses. Okay. Younger people make better bosses.
and that's basically it. And it's
That's
just a
it.
question
Yeah.
mark. Yeah. Do younger people make better bosses?
Do
That's
do younger people we'll type out the essay itself. I'm just because it's so simple I'm going to write it out. Do younger people make better bosses? Question mark. I like that. I think that's really simple. And it also, I like this step because it forces you to clarify the issue in your mind before you actually start writing. Because sometimes you read a prompt, you think you understand it, or you kind of understand it, and then you realize halfway through maybe you didn't quite, or you're unclear about it, and so as a result, your essay seems fuzzy, you're going back and forth, you're not sure what you want to say. But with a very simple, clear statement that makes sense to you, then you can go about the business of saying what you think about that simple thing that you have condensed and clarified.
exactly. And something that I always remember from when I was in university and when I was writing, essays almost every week, I would often get halfway through the essay, particularly in an exam,
Mm-hmm.
and I would forget what the essay was about. And I'd realize that, like, here is the path I wanted to take, but I'd actually gone, oh, and all the way over there. And having the core question means that you can, in the middle of writing, if you lose where you are, you can just look back at the core question and immediately you remember.
Exactly.
Whereas if you look back at the full question, the leaders of most organizations tend to be older people. Some people are. It's quite long and it can confuse you even more. You could get even more distracted or you could lose your confidence. But having the core question, it's like a solid rock that
Right.
holds you to answering the question. So that's why I really like to do it.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. I don't even remember high school, but I'm sure I probably did something like that too, because that was always my stronger area on exams. I always got very good scores on the writing stuff, and most subjects except for some mathematics. I wasn't great at that. Not my strong area. I was good at geometry, but
We've
that's
got
about it.
a couple of things I can see on my side. We've got Amrit. Hello, Amrit. By the way, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. I can see some people who joined me last week for my first ever live stream, and they're back again today. I know Ramelia was there, Adele was there, and Amrit was there as well. Amrit says younger or older bosses are better. I think that's another good way. That would be a correct core question. Um, and Dr. Shailesh Solanki says younger people are more active and well versed with new technology. That again is going to be one of the ideas, one of our main points. And if you're ready, Luke, we can move on to step 2, which is going to kind of talk about that. Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely. I'm ready. Let's go to step 2.
So step 2 is
Nothing
sort
funny
of a.
about step 2, Francis.
Mhm.
You said there's nothing funny about step 2.
Step 2 is a very serious business, everyone.
When it comes to step 2, there's no joking around.
Uh, there is not. So step 2 is, well, actually quite a simple step. And there's no joking because there's no time for joking. Basically, we just have to figure out what are the two sides of the argument. Because, it's to what extent do you agree or disagree? So we need to figure out what are we agreeing or disagreeing with.
Wait, are
And
you saying that's when we have to pick one, or we're just stating what the two sides are?
we're just stating. We're not picking anything yet. We're not like clapping ourselves in handcuffs yet. We're keeping everything
Okay.
open and everything flexible for right now.
So can I paraphrase this as state two sides?
Yes.
Now,
you
what
can.
about questions that aren't agree or disagree? What about more vague opinion questions? What about that sort of thing? What about essays that aren't phrased in such sort of black and white terms?
Well, each essay type, I mean, for example, discussion essays, they would have their own style of answering them. There's another type of essay in IELTS, which is a two-question essay. So it'll give you two separate questions. And we deal with those ones in different ways as well. But sort of each of the limited number of different essay types will do something a little bit different here. But most of those will have some kind of moment where we have to think, what are the two or the three main areas here? What are the positions that we could take?
Got it. Okay. Understood. So at least you should be able to do that regardless of the format. You're choosing something, right? So you're at least getting a general sense for it.
Exactly.
Ramelia says, young, more open-minded, tech-savvy, but lacking experience. I think that would be, again, one supporting side, or one side. Right now, we're just stating what the sides are. Let's see. If anyone wants to put forward... so she's stating maybe a bit more detail. Young, more open-minded, older, more practical experience in their area of expertise. So this is kind of summarizing the support for the position. Is that too soon to be doing that?
It's about 20 seconds too soon.
20 seconds too soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all happening very, very fast, right?
It is, yeah. Like we're breaking down what you'll do. When you've practiced this, you'll do this in about 3 minutes in the exam. The whole
thing that we're doing today.
The whole thing, yeah.
Besides the essay itself.
And I can see that Amrit has I think Amrit's taken this course because he's even used the same language that I use, side A and side B. So that's very good, Amrit. So
Amrit, you're ruining everything.
Amrit is the proof of concept. He's getting everything right.
No, because when I saw that, I felt a breath of fresh air. So that's great, actually, to see.
So what we have to do, like the way that I think about it, is to divide this into a side A and a side B. And so, we're basically saying side A is that younger people are better bosses. And side B is that older people are better bosses. So for this question, it's relatively straightforward, Luke. But like there are other questions where you do have to think a bit more carefully about it. And there could be a side C as well. But for here, it's just side A, younger people are better bosses. Side B, older people are better bosses.
And I would like to sort of comment on Emirates side A and side B here. The great thing about thinking in terms of side A, side B, is that you're no longer bound to good grammar. This is not the place for thinking about sentence structure. This is not the place for thinking about good grammar. Do not waste any energy building a sentence to define this, right? If it helps you to just say younger people hyphen better leaders or something like that, right? That's fine because it's for you to remember what the sides are. No one else needs to see this. Even,
Exactly.
this is something that's so for the private stuff, don't spend any energy on making it good. Spend all your energy making it good on the essay itself. These steps are prep steps to help you get clear in your head on what you're going to be doing. It's the setup part, right? So you got to do the setup right, but the grammar of the setup is not very important.
Yeah, totally agree. And these are like just little notes that you'll make in your notebook or on a separate piece of paper that you're not going to hand in at the end. These are
Right.
not for the examiner or for your professor to see. These are just for you, just to
Right.
help you.
Yeah. You write them on your hand.
And then you can definitely take them away with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You tattoo them on yourself as you're preparing. So I like the use of colons. Younger people can make a good decision for the company's future. I think that's, again, a little bit too detailed for this step, but perhaps something that could be very good support. And then Dr. Shalish, what's the difference between do you agree or disagree, and to what extent do you agree or disagree?
That's a good question. And basically, they're the same. When it comes to IELTS, anyway, those are the same. It's the same structure, it's the same type of essay. It's just sometimes IELTS will say to you, do you agree or disagree? And sometimes they'll write, to what extent do you agree or disagree? But you should handle those, you should write them in exactly the same way. No difference at all.
They're just trying to confuse you. They throw language in there to make things a little more complicated, but often the reality is simpler.
And that's true as well, Luke, for the question. Like if we look at the question, one of the things that I talk about in the course is deleting the parts of the question that are trying to distract you.
Yeah.
So
Or background information.
exactly, the background information. So if you look at the whole first sentence of the question, the leaders of most organizations tend to be older people. That's not, I mean, it's kind of connected. It
Get
is
it out of
background.
here.
But yeah, we can
Get
take our
it out of
baseball
here.
and hit it for a home run.
Get out of however as well. Who needs a however?
Yeah, basically.
Get rid of the to what extent. Get it out of here. Here's my simplification might be to just play with the text itself. Some say that younger people make better bosses. Do you agree or disagree? Boink. That's the question. That's it.
Yeah. Or or it could be younger people make better bosses, right?
That's what's called a leading question, and you won't see a lot of those on IELTS or TOEFL, but you will hear them in other places in life.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's...
You agree with me, don't you? It's kind of hard to say no.
So that's step 2. And then step 3, we've made our buckets now, our 2 idea buckets. And now it's time to start filling those buckets with ideas.
So can we say step 1 and step 2 are kind of preliminary set? Should we differentiate them, or we just go steps? I mean, is this a type here or no?
I mean, we could. We'd have to spend some time thinking about it. But
Okay.
I think you're going to... No, I think that all of them are preparation up to the point at which we start writing. All of it is, I would consider, as preparation. And we're going to do it all very quickly in the real test.
One of the exercises that I do in my course is broader, so there's one section on essays, particularly focusing on outlining ideas, structuring paragraphs, and then individual paragraphs, and then structuring an entire essay by making sure the paragraphs fit together. But throughout the course, there are a lot of other things about how to write well, the sort of fundamentals of good writing. And a lot of those are very easy to learn. But in the exercises section of the course, we spend about 3 hours working on specifically exercises. One of them is a simplification exercise. So you take a sentence that's really complicated and you sort of boil it down to its bones. And then you take, it's a several step process, but once you get it down to that's essentially this, right? You're just saying, what is it basically? And you can do that for grammar too. What is the structure of this basically? Then you remove the meaning, and then you can add your own meaning to that same structure, and that teaches you the grammar of that. It's called modeling, without having to know what anything is called. You never need to know what a gerund is. You never have to know about parentheticals. You don't have to know about anything. All you have to do is say, what's the basic structure, simplify it, then build back up with my own meaning. And it's a really powerful way to actually get a feel for grammar rather than, learning a bunch of rules and stuff.
That makes total sense. Yeah, that sounds excellent. I might take that course.
You might.
I do a little bit of that in when I was learning Chinese.
There you go.
Yeah, it worked quite well. And then I forgot it all because I didn't study very well.
Francis, you speak what? 35 different languages?
36.
36. Spanish, German, English, Chinese, all of the African click languages.
Indeed.
Amazing.
Domenico Lafauci says, hello. Romelia,
thanks for that. Hello.
Romelia wants to know where is your course to be found? Very nicely expressed, Romelia. Luke, she's talking to you.
Not necessarily. So
Romelia knows about my courses. So Romelia, I think, is asking about your course.
So if you want to check out the courses, we're doing this as a Cyber Monday special. Mm-hmm. So if you go to the links in the description, you'll see 2 sections. One section is for Francis's courses and one section is for my courses. So I put a link to the writing course that I mentioned. It's 9 hours. It's nearly 10 hours long. I just launched it. We've already got nearly 200 students in. It was just launched, so it's doing great. A lot of people are enjoying it. 4.82 stars out of 5, so it's going quite well. So check that out. The Udemy is doing a Cyber Monday sale, so you can get that at a great price now. I also have a website if you want to check that out. Some people like to, instead of taking one course, sign up for all my courses with a monthly membership. I'm doing a huge sale on the monthly membership. If you want to access all my courses, you can check that one out too. Francis, do you want to mention which links you shared as well? Then we can get into step 3.
Yes. So you guys will be able to find 2 of my most popular courses underneath. We've got the IELTS Complete Guide, which is over 46 hours of material to help you get ready for IELTS, for all parts of the IELTS test. And that is at the lowest possible price for Cyber Monday. And also we have our Advanced English Vocabulary course, which is 18 hours. It's 50 different topics. And it's like all of the common sort of topics that you'll face in exams and also kind of in work and in daily life as well. Things like talking about the environment, talking about the economy, about architecture, about work, technology, many different things. So that's a pretty good way if you want a structured way, an organized way to improve your high-level English vocabulary, then that's the course. And that's also down here.
And Romelia says your vocab course is the best. So a lot of praise for Francis's courses today. I think now, now is a good time because now is sort of the season of sales. It's ending. Mm-hmm. So if you're working on your English and you want to, what's the difference between, let's say, I have a YouTube channel, Francis has a YouTube channel. What's the difference between just going on YouTube and finding the answer and taking a course? Well, I prepare for a YouTube video for about 12 minutes, and I prepare for a course for about 12 months. So there's the level of clarity, structure, everything flows from, and I can say this about Francis's courses as well, everything flows from idea to idea. You get a lot more when there's a path to follow and skills are building on top of each other rather than it being sort of scattered. And YouTube is great and all of that's great. Little bits and pieces of learning here and there, fantastic. But when it's time to buckle down and get serious, there's a reason courses exist, right? And there's a reason that we spend a lot of time on them.
And let me give a shout out to a few people, Luke. Romelia says, Romelia says your vocab course is the best. Thank you, Romelia. Domenico says, I purchased 2 of your courses and your vocabulary course suits me down to the ground. Very nice vocabulary. Very good. I don't think that one's part of the course, I must say, but you've done well to you've brought that one in. That's very good.
I get it. I like it.
And now MUR says, I've purchased the complete IELTS course and the advanced vocabulary course. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support. Luke,
thank you for
should
your
we
service.
do step 3?
Step 3, let's do it.
So step 3 is a bigger part. Step 3, we're still not deciding our opinion. You notice all of this time we've not decided which one we think is true. Do we agree that younger bosses are better, or do we think that older bosses are better? We're not deciding that until later. That's a really important thing to remember. Because, and this is something I always say in the course, Luke, your opinion, particularly in an exam essay, your opinion is absolutely not important.
Absolutely. So that answers the question we had earlier. The deer in the headlights question. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're going to get to that. So your opinion is not what the examiner will judge you on.
Yeah, I disagree. Bad score.
It's just wrong.
Hey.
Your examiner is going to go right, boo,
on
your essay paper.
Just cross it all out.
Yeah, and set it on fire. No, your examiner is going to judge your English. Right. So what we have to do is give you the best chance to show your English and also your organization of your essay. So the next step 3, is to think of as many ideas as possible for side A, and then as many ideas as possible for side B. That's basically it.
Well, wait a second. I have a question on that. Couldn't that potentially be a waste of time if we're ultimately going to, I can look at this and gut check my opinion, basically, or I can just say, you know what, I'll go with younger people, and then I can focus on as many opinions to support that as possible. My question is, why do both? Are we just doing both today?
Well, you can do the one side if you have a think about it and you think, well, definitely it's going to be easier for me to write about just side A. Mm-hmm. Then you can just focus on side A. But the point of doing both is that step 4 is going to be choosing which ideas are the easiest for us to talk about, the easiest to write about and to show our best English. So I always think having as much choice as possible. So, if we think of, say, 3 or 4 ideas for side A and 3 or 4 ideas for side B, and we just make very quick, like a few words for each of those ideas, we don't take too much time. We'll be able to go, okay, so side A, that one. That's really easy to talk about, and it's quite a strong point. I can organize it well. And let's see, this one from side B, I can take that.
So you're sort of making little cards with things on them that you can basically just draw out of the hat based on the side you choose once you start writing.
Not quite either, because we're not going to choose our side until we've chosen the points. That's the interesting thing.
I see.
So let's go through and let's write a few ideas for side A and a few ideas for side B, and it will all become clear.
Okay.
I hope.
So is it okay
It
if
might
I
all
are we
become clear.
can I erase this? Are we clear on steps 1 through 3? We get to the core question, narrow it down. We state both sides without choosing one. We give reasons to support both sides, which we're about to do, and then we choose based on the reasons, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna get rid of this. Okay, let's come up with some. So if you have ideas to support, I think we had a few before.
Yeah, we've got plenty of ideas. Should we do side A first, Luke? Should we do the which one? The younger people are better bosses.
Yeah.
We'll just call it side A.
All right. So we had some before. Let me see. Let me just scroll up and see if you have further points you'd like to add. But let's see if I can find some of the ones we had before. Someone says, "Can you make a podcast?" So actually, I do have a podcast. All of the conversations that I do, it won't be always me and Francis, of course, but today's discussion, as well as the other ones that I do, if you're interested in that, you can go to any podcast platform you like. Just search Cloud English, and you'll find them all there. I post there 2 or 3 times a week. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. Francis, you should do a podcast.
Mm. People have always told me I have both a voice and a face for radio.
Well,
That's what we call a backhanded compliment.
of yourself.
Well, but other people have told me
Other
that.
people say that. You have the face for
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's a cliche joke, so that you can
It
say
is.
that to anybody. In your case, it would be true. Just had to do that. I apologize. Just kidding. Francis is a very handsome man. Look at him. Look at his beard. Look at his bookshelf. Younger people can make a good decision about a company's future. That I feel like is unspecified. I mean, it's not clear why a young person would be able to make a better decision about the future as opposed to an older person. I would not use that as a reason without an explanation.
That's fine.
Let's see. I'm trying to find, because we had a few before. Younger people are more active and well-versed with new technology.
Well, those are two different points, aren't they? So one of them we could just write more energy.
Okay, so now for these, I also want to clarify. We're going to try to keep them. Again, this is just for you, so there's no need to write a whole sentence. Just just the idea. More energy. And then I guess we could say tech savvy.
Yes, tech savvy, exactly. So that's 2 good points already. And two
Is there a hyphen
points.
between tech savvy? I guess it depends.
I think yes. We're using it as an adjective here.
If it's an adjective, yeah. All right, let's go with it. And then
let's see what else we've got here. MUS says younger people tend to think about the future more than older people. So, I mean, you could maybe say long-term view.
yeah.
That could be an idea.
Okay. Yeah, with it, younger people, they have more relevant current ideas. Let's say, can we say in touch with reality?
In touch, yeah.
In
touch with reality.
In touch with reality, but that says a lot about what I think about people over the age of 60. I guess we could say, I mean, if aspiring has that view and wants to support it, then I think that's a supportable view, right? Let's say
you could argue it, certainly.
Yeah,
it may
yeah.
not be entirely true. And any of these, like there are old people who have lots of energy. There are old people who can use technology. Like we're talking in a more general way.
Yeah. I'm just gonna write in touch. Don't judge me for writing that, but that's just, I don't know how else to shorten it. Young
Yeah.
people are bound to stay in long term in that position. Not quite sure I'm
Mm.
following that one. What do you follow
I,
that?
I think what Ramelia means is that they can stay, like, they have a longer window of working.
I see.
But I would argue actually that older people are more stable generally in their jobs.
Yeah.
Like they change jobs less frequently. So I think we can actually start to add some points, Luke, to side B and say older people more stable or don't change jobs
Well,
as
I
often.
think we know what we mean if I say more stable. As long as
Yeah,
we know what we mean. Again, it's
exactly.
not for others. We know what we mean. So, Amelia says they retire later. I suppose. I don't know how that makes you necessarily a better leader, though.
Yeah, it's more of like, would you give training to that person? And you would say, yes, yes, I would, because they can work another 40 years, not another 10 years or something like that.
Okay.
But I think that one
Potential
is,
for growth. Maybe that would be. They have more because
okay,
they
yes,
can.
that's good. Potential for growth. That's quite nice. Aspiring's got a good point for a side B, more real life experience. That's a clear, and we can just say more experience. That one's a very clear, strong point for side B.
Great. More experience. Absolutely. Maybe we can do another one for side B. I would say, well, more experience. There's a lot that can be fit into the umbrella of more experience. I would
Mm-hmm.
almost want to break that down into, because there's the ability to manage people socially, and there's that experience. So I guess we can go with it, but I think it could be broken down more.
That's true, and you could actually write an essay if you decided to take experience. You could write one paragraph about one type of experience, and then another paragraph about a different type of experience, and
You
that would
can go
actually work
with
pretty well as well.
leadership
Hmm.
experience. You could go with avoiding
Conflict,
mistakes.
yeah.
You could go, I mean, a lot of things fit under experience. I'm just putting things in here that could be under experience, right?
Hmm.
You can go with um, long view. You can look back on what happened 20 years ago and say, oh yeah, something like this happened back then, and that gave me the skills to handle this, right? Market trends, things
Exactly,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, it's one of those.
Aha,
That's
yes, one of those, yeah, crashes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yes, I
Dr.
remember when Litecoin went back in the 70s, when SafeMoon went down to 0.000004.
Oh dear. A few
Okay.
more points. Dr. Shelish says younger and more competitive nature. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think we could argue that.
Okay. Competitive.
More competitive for side A. Aspiring says communication. I think that would come maybe under leadership for side B. But yes, it is a good point. Ramelia says an interesting one. More familiar with the latest like discoveries, for example, in the medical field. Um,
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think someone who's really been in the field a long time, I don't know that that's an
mm,
inherently. I
that's
don't know that.
true.
I mean, I think that could be for either one. That's my experience talking.
Older people, Domenico says, older people have experience that makes them more rational. Yeah, potentially. Like more, you could say more stable in terms of their job and more stable in their emotions as well.
Okay, I don't think that's giving young people a lot of credit, but fair enough. Okay. Why
So,
wizened? I mean, stable emotional stability. Um, how could we say that without saying stable again?
rational. Stability? You know what we need to do? We need to take that advanced English vocabulary course I'm hearing so much
Even
about.
keel, even keel.
Mm.
That's stable. That's also just stable. Yeah. I think we've already said it with stable.
Yeah.
So
Balance.
Dr. Fauci said, although younger people may relate problems and needs to the current time, older people have experience that make them think more rationally about the problem. I don't have an issue with that, but if you're suggesting that as one of the sides, we're really trying to keep them simple. If you were to write all of that as your idea for the side, that would be a huge mistake, because then when you say, okay, now I'm going to choose that idea to put in my essay, what are you going to put that whole thing in? So then you have to figure out what exactly is the single idea there, and then you have to rewrite it again, probably for the essay, to fit it into the structure. So it's an intellectual challenge. You can see even Francis and I are sometimes struggling to find the right word or two words that says the idea that we mean. That's very important, because if you spend too much time writing these long ideas and it's 2 sentences or 3, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Dr. Fauci has written it below, like, exactly, they are emotionally stable.
All right, I'll just put it because I feel like I want something here.
You don't want to finish on the 3 tiny little bullet points. You
No.
want a whole extra point.
Okay. And this is just a broader type of stability. Don't push me on that. Don't ask me any more questions about what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got, I mean, we could keep going, I suppose, but I think we've got at least a reasonable number. Would
Indeed.
you say so?
I think this is totally fine. Like, we've got different points on different sides, and this gives us what we need to go to the next step. And the next step, step 4, is choosing 2 of these points. So
All right.
at this point, we've basically done the hard part of the planning. The hard part, I would say, is the core question, and the brainstorm. So we know that the question is, younger people make better bosses, yes or no? And we know that we've got some ideas for why younger people are better and some ideas for why older people are better. Now, before we choose our opinion, we're going to look at the different points that we've collected, and we're going to think to ourselves, if I'm in an exam situation and I have to write about one of these points, which one can I write best about? Which one is the easiest one for me to write well about? And there's 2 things I think to think about. One of them is, can we explain this point clearly? So, for example, if it's more energy, can you quickly and clearly explain why younger people have more energy? Or would it maybe be a little difficult to explain? That's the first thing. The second thing is, do I know anything special, or maybe some specific vocabulary about one of these points? So let's say the like emotionally stable inside B. Do I know some words about psychology, or about, I don't know, about emotions, or maybe about leadership, that I can use to boost my score about this one point? So when we think about those 2 things, they can help us to choose the points that are best for us. And that, Luke, is why I was saying before, it's good to have a range of different points on both sides that we can choose from.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say, could we just say it like that? So ease of explanation, is it easy enough to break down and explain? And 2, do you have the associated terms? You know the words that are related to that.
That's fair.
So I think it's really important. What Francis just said is something that, I don't know, it might be the most common issue in this kind of thing, whether we're talking about spoken or written questions that you have to answer. It's very important, I think, what Francis just said. It does not matter what you choose in terms of which one it is, right? If someone asks you a question, no one's evaluating you on that. You're being evaluated on how well you express yourself about that, whatever it is. So the what, not super important. It's really the how that matters most. So many people who take an essay, who do an essay, who answer a question, and this is a broad, I think, English issue, will instead think, no, I need to get, what do I really think? What is my real opinion here? I need to figure that out. And it's hard to explain B, but that's how I really feel, so I'm going to choose B.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong way to look at it. It doesn't matter how you really feel. If it's easier to explain A, do A. Because you're not being evaluated on how you really feel, right? Exactly. Only your ability to express yourself about one side or another.
Said in a simple way, your opinion doesn't matter. Your English does matter.
There you go. There you go. Well said. Well said.
So, for you, Luke, you're a writer. You're a person with your own experience of life and your areas of specialist knowledge and specialist vocabulary.
It's great to be recognized finally for that.
You have to choose 2 points here. So, to give you an example, you might say, okay, my first point is going to be more energy, and my second point is going to be tech savvy. Or you might say, my first point is going to be more energy, my second point is going to be, from the other side, more stable.
Do you recommend that people go either way? Is it easier to say whole hog side A, or to just say, it's okay to do both? Is it more complicated structurally to go one way or the other?
I generally encourage my students to partially agree with the question. So what I mean is choose one from side A and one from side B.
Got it.
But it really, it's very small, the advantage that gives you. I mean, if you have got 2 inside A that you are confident about, choose side A. If you've got 2 inside B, choose side B.
Got it.
So, Luke.
Well, I do think that this is really compelling and easy to explain. Because if you're 28 instead of 53, you're going to, in terms of future outlook, you're going to have a lot more to learn. You can grow as a leader, whereas you might be a good leader now, but if we're looking at the whole spectrum, I think that's a good point to make there. I find that to be pretty compelling. I think this is a little bit anecdotal, because I think competitiveness is kind of individual. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I like this one. I also like this one. It's tempting to just do this one, but for this particular essay, I like the sort of 2 sides that these 2 points represent. This represents something that's maybe not there yet, but could be, and this represents looking backward, all of the things that you got from the past. And so they're valuable in different ways. So those pop out to me. What about you?
Okay. I would say that for me, the easiest one to write about would probably be tech savvy, because, we can throw in any sort of the names of software that we know, for example. Yeah. Someone who's
DOS,
63.
Ski free.
Even
Solitaire.
just things like, indeed. You could say someone who's 63 maybe doesn't know about would have a harder time being introduced to new technology, even things as simple as using Zoom or using Slack and things like that, using video conferencing software. So I think that one you could get some vocabulary and it would be relatively easy to explain. And then
I just thought of a comment if someone said you need to get on Slack to someone who's older and they say,
I'm not wearing my
Something about-
pants.
no, I was going to go the other way of sort of, you want special treatment? Why should I cut anybody slack? I'm a hard-nosed. Yeah.
That's true.
It's a malformed comment. Anyway.
Slack has many meanings, doesn't it? It means someone's slacks are someone's like comfortable trousers. I think I'm right to say.
Really? I thought slacks were more formal trousers.
Are they?
Well,
that's American English, so I'm not sure.
I mean, you when you say pants, you mean what I say when I say underwear. So I don't know.
That's true,
right? Because I say most people, if I say pants, Americans will think jeans, khakis, that sort of thing. When you say pants, you think briefs, boxers, like that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Short for underpants. Ours are short for overpants.
Not a real word, in case anyone...
Not a real word. Well, for those who are just joining, welcome to here. We're going to be continuing with our discussion on writing. We're right in the middle of a what's bound to be a juicy essay on the topic of experience in leadership. Francis used to be a professional IELTS examiner. Now he is a professional English teacher with many courses on IELTS and many other subjects, including writing and vocabulary and much more. You can check out Francis's courses. They are on sale in the links in the description. There's a Cyber Monday sale happening now, so get the best prices on Francis's courses there. You can also check out my courses. My course, Master English Writing, which is a bit broader than just essays, will teach you the foundations of strong writing, a bunch of exercises, a lot of grammar, a bunch of stuff. So you can check that out too. Also, Cyber Monday sales. And wherever you're watching from, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you're listening to this later or watching this later, you can also hit the like button and subscribe. But look out for Francis and I on our respective social media channels. I'm Cloud English, Cloud English, and Francis is Last Minute English. So you can look us up in either place, and I think we can get back to it. Francis, do you have anything to add from what I just said?
All I would add is hello and welcome, if we haven't said hello before. And make sure you subscribe across both ways. So if you are one of the people who watches my channel, make sure you subscribe to Luke's channel. And if you're one of Luke's subscribers, don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. Because we've sort of come together on this topic, haven't we, Luke? But we generally do...
We're generally enemies.
Yeah.
This is...
most of the time, you'll find us fighting in the car park.
This is Christmas 1916. Or 1930. Which year was that?
1914.
1914, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
The first winter of World War One.
Was it the first winter? Okay, I guess it's maybe a little more immediate because I don't think we were there for that yet. We came right at the end just to sort of say, hey, we helped.
Anyway, back to the essay. So Luke, let's go with yours. This is your essay that we're writing.
No, listen, no, forget it. I'm ashamed that I even checked that off. Let's go with this. You get one and I get one.
Okay. So we'll go tech savvy from side A, and we'll go more experience from side B.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yes.
All right. So now we're just going to very briefly and in a very easy way find our plan, and find our opinion. And I've used the word find there, Luke, kind of on purpose, because both of those are kind of already done based on the work that we've just finished.
Right.
So the plan, the structure for this type of essay, for a to what extent do you agree or disagree type of essay, is always going to be an introduction, one body paragraph focused on one idea, a second body paragraph focused on a second idea, and a conclusion. So we know the introduction, we know the conclusion. We just need to figure out what are those two main points for the two body paragraphs. And now we have them. So the first one, we could say, well, either order is fine, to be honest, but let's say for argument's sake, tech savvy goes as idea 1, and then more experience goes as idea 2. And that's our very quick outline and plan for this essay. I thought you might draw a line.
There we go.
And
now,
then
can I just...
Go ahead.
Well, so I didn't know where this was going today, and I copy and pasted my... Because the part that my focus in my essay section of my course is a little different from yours. Mm-hmm. It's not so programmatically A/B. I mean, just very step by step. I appreciate your way of doing it because it alleviates a lot of the anxiety around choosing a topic and deciding what your opinion is. Because if you're trying to decide your opinion as you're writing, you've already lost, basically. So this is a great way of getting where you need to be, such that when you start writing, it's all about style, form, structure, and not about the other stuff. But what I did and what I do in my course is I focus a lot. Can I erase this?
You can.
I focus a lot on outlining because I think that the way that you build an outline is really critical. If you don't know how to structure your ideas, then you're going to always feel lost. But if you have a really clean outline, it's a beautiful map, and you can always go back and reference it, and you'll never feel lost. If you're in the middle of a sentence, you just go back and think, okay, that's what I'm writing about. It's a perfect map. And it's quite interesting that, and this is just directly copied from my course, this is my structure. And it's very similar. I have, I accidentally copied a B, should be a C there. It's interesting how similar it is. What are you talking about? That's your main idea. First point, and then you might support it with an example or two. Second point, then you might support it with an example or two. Third point, then you might support it with an example or two, and then your final thoughts. It's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I think that there won't always be... Oh, yes. Oh, now I understand.
Now you get it. Come on. There we go.
And look at these floating capital letters where they shouldn't be. Good God.
I was a little rushed before this, and I just quickly grabbed something. And... we're doing this on the fly.
Yeah. There's great language, by the way. Even if you are an expert essay writer, and this is all totally normal and you know it all already, you can still learn a lot of great phrases from the things that, like, me and Luke say to each other. Doing something on the fly. Very natural.
It's a good one.
So I would say this is like almost, it's almost exactly how I always tell my students to write. I just think that in an IELTS essay, you probably wouldn't have time to bring in a second example.
Sure.
Just because the time would be quite tight. So I generally suggest one example, sort of get your main point, explain it in a bit more detail, then give an example, and then give a conclusion. And that's going to be about 80 to 100 words. And that's basically all you have time for. But if you do have time for a second example, then by all means, put it in.
That's one of the things that I also mention in my courses, that, this is very flexible. So
Hmm.
this is here to say, yeah, if you have time to write a longer essay, give a couple of points of support. But if you don't, then don't. Get rid of it. That's fine. It depends on the essay and the structure too. Some essays are longer. This may also be completely gone. Third main point, you probably don't need it for IELTS. You might need it for something a little longer. If it's an academic essay, almost certainly you're going to need a third main point. Of course, it all depends on length. It all depends on time. You have to be very flexible with it, for sure.
Indeed. So, if you're ready, I mean, the only other step that we have to do is to think what our opinion is. And again, we're kind of finding the opinion through the process of making that plan. So we know that we chose one of the sides, at one point from side A, to say younger people are more tech savvy.
Tech savvy, yeah.
And we chose the other point from side B, that older people are, what did we say? We said more experienced.
More
right?
experience, yeah.
Yeah. So in the question of, are younger people better bosses, then we're going to be partially agreeing, because we're giving one point that says, yeah, they definitely have some advantages, but we're giving another point that says, well, older people have their own advantages. So we're going to partially agree with the question, and that's our opinion. That's how we find our opinion.
Now, do you usually say example or do you say support? How do you?
I say example.
Okay. So this works for you.
Yes, it does.
Now,
So
when you state your opinion, do you write the whole sentence of your opinion, or do you just do you go through the outline when you're going through the outlining process? Do you state the whole sentence, or you just say partial agreement? How do you state it?
I just write opinion, partially agree, or you can write half agree.
Okay.
Or if you've chosen 2 points from side A, you would write like totally agree. Or if it's 2 points from side B, totally disagree.
Okay. So
To help you remember.
And this is conveniently labeled A. We're doing point A. We're just gonna plug it in, right? We're just plugging in more tech savvy. And then would you just say an example underneath if we're doing an outline here? What would we say? Fax machines. What should we say here?
It depends when you think of one. So if you're making the plan, you can think of something straight away, absolutely put that in. Of course, you can change it later, right? As you come to actually do the writing, and you have a different idea, then you can change it. But if you have an idea straight away, yeah, you can write that. If you don't, though, don't worry. Just keep one eye on it as you're writing, and try to think of something along the way.
Okay.
So that when you come to, say point B, you've already made your little note. Aha, yes, that's my idea. Write it over here. Go back to writing your essay.
So maybe there you might put, that's just placeholder, and then this is more experience. Oh, no, the more experience should be here. Second main point, more experience. And then under the example there, we might have one of handled many conflicts, or
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Does that work for you?
That could be good, yeah.
Now, do you put anything else in the outline, or is that pretty much it?
No, that's it.
Anything for final thoughts?
I wouldn't typically do that, because my final thought, I feel you're also learning things and figuring things out as you're writing, because you're going back and you're changing things, you're making little adjustments. So I think final thoughts, yes, exactly, TBD. We'll wait until the end, and we're only going to do 1 or 2 sentences for the conclusion. So
Yeah.
we just wait until then and see how the rest of the essay looks, and then kind of make a summary based on what we've written.
And I imagine today we're going to do a very stripped down essay. We're not going to put a lot of time.
Yeah,
We'll throw out the challenge, but we're not going to
to
spend.
Yeah.
That's the quick part. So are you happy with this in terms of the process for the map, the structure?
Yes, it's different. Like you've given it different names to what I would give it, but the idea of it is exactly the same. So I think this is, yes, I'm very happy to go ahead with this.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you insisted on your names only, then we would need to check you in.
Yeah.
Send you somewhere special. The only point I would differ with you on here would be I would want to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to have, I think, the feeling of going into the writing part, knowing everything, the examples, the structure and the examples. This is your map. Nothing is uncertain, because when you go into it and you're not sure how you're going to connect this to this, then you have that stress of how do I figure it out. So if you have everything locked in, the ideas are here, then you don't really have to do a lot of thinking about that when you're writing. You're just writing. So
I think that's ideal. Yeah, like if you can get the idea beforehand, definitely. My only thing is thinking about time. If you sit there and think for 10 minutes and you can't think of well, no, that's true. If you sit there for a few minutes and you still can't think of an idea, maybe you've chosen the wrong point.
Yeah. Well, you chose this one, so what are you going to put there? Quickly.
What am I going to put? I'm going to say more tech-savvy video conferencing software.
I like that. Okay.
Or you just write Zoom.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So we partially agree with the prompt about more or less more experience as opposed to youth, being better for leading people, for leadership. Younger people are more tech savvy, kazoom, and older people have more experience because they've put out many fires.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some final remarks, which we will decide later. Okay. What's next?
All right. So next, we're going to pick up our pen and we're going to start writing.
Okay. Well, I have a pen here, but I think it would be better if I type it.
Yes.
Instead of using this. Because my handwriting is... If you can't read my handwriting, don't maybe, people who take my courses, because I do a lot of handwriting, there's type text, and a lot of handwriting. The people who like my courses say that they like that part because it's engaging, because they can take notes at the same time. There's always something moving and happening, so it keeps you kind of focused on the content. That's why I don't as often do slides. So I like it, but if you find my writing illegible, that's because I wasn't trying today. But in courses, it's very neat. Anyway, one small point, get the basics down. If you are not using perfect punctuation, the basics, honestly, that can kill you in an essay. If you don't know correct punctuation, there's absolutely no excuse. You should, because it's easy. There's no space in front of a comma or a period or an exclamation mark or a question mark. There's one space after, generally. If it's handwritten, you have a little more leeway there, but you have to follow the basics of punctuation and basic grammar structure.
And it's easy to find out, Luke. That kind of thing, you can
Not
come
hard.
to courses. I'm sure there are YouTube videos about that as well. Like
Grammarly.
Grammarly, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so is the next step, do we start?
We start.
Do we need to have this here as we go?
Is there a way to put it to the side? Because ideally, we would have this to the side to help us in case we forget along the way.
Okay, I think I can manage.
Do a little screenshot of it.
Absolutely. Hey-oh.
Oh, well, that is not to the side. That's the opposite of what I wanted.
There, perfect.
Got
Got it. All right, we'll just put it right there like that. How about that?
Yeah, that's great. So then we can see that as we're writing. And
Got it.
this is the equivalent if you're writing on paper. You bring in like a little piece of paper. You ask for some scrap paper in the exam and you make little notes by yourself. And you put it to the side. You can always look at it.
Always use a number 3 pencil as well.
Mm-hmm. So I think we'll go through this relatively quickly, Luke. Would you like to be minister in charge of writing, or would you like to?
I will be. Yes, I am the Kathy to your Luke. Please tell me what to do. If I don't do it, dock my pay.
Yeah. We're God, that Kathy.
I know.
How has Kathy been as an employee recently?
There have been some recent changes. After she got out of solitary confinement, we had a talk, and things have been better. At least my coffee is hot, just like I like it. Sometimes it was warm before, and that was a problem, but it's getting better.
Well, good. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Let's hope that your performance in this job is at least to the level of new Kathy.
Right. Yeah. Post-solitary Kathy.
Rehabilitated Kathy.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think she's been rehabilitated.
Yep. Just looking at me right now.
So we're gonna write the introduction. So the first, an IELTS introduction would generally have 2 or 3 sentences. I like to do it in 2. The first sentence is going to be a background sentence. We're going to basically restate the introduction in our own words. Sorry, we're going to restate the essay topic in our own words. So the essay is about are younger bosses better? So we could say something like the discussion of whether younger or older people make better bosses has been raging for many years. And this is a good kind of template that people can use. So
I like it a lot. Very simple.
The discussion of whether A or B are blah, blah, blah has been raging for many years.
Don't always say, you don't want to lock, I mean, yeah.
No.
It's a good one, but you got to have some variations there.
Yeah. And then we'll say, from my perspective, younger people can make excellent leaders, particularly due to their familiarity with new technology. But, comma.
Oh, wow. We're doing a run on, are we? Okay. Do not.
From my perspective, younger people can.
It's a little clunky, Francis. I think we should start a new sentence there.
Let's go, however.
Okay.
Rather than but.
You want to start a new sentence?
New sentence, however. However, older people do have their own advantages.
Can we say just have instead of do have, so we don't have a double verb?
Older people have, yes, that's fine. Older people have, thank you, Kathy, have their own advantages, including vast.
Can I add the can I support this with an adjective?
Their own leadership advantages. Yes, very good. That's good. Experience. Or you could say extensive experience.
Okay. The word including makes me feel like we're going to list more stuff, but we're just going to say that.
True.
Could we say, however, older people have their own advantages, and I apologize, this is blocked or blocking part of this. I'll move this over. I can actually shrink this a bit. However, older people have their own leadership advantages, particularly.
The problem
Can
is
we
we've
use
already
that?
used particular. That's the word that I want to use.
Oh,
It's
we got particular. Oh,
absolutely.
I forgot we have it
Yeah.
before. That's where I would put it. So I might adjust that. However, older people have their own leadership advantages, largely due to their
Mhm.
experience. How about that?
That's nice. Yes, that's you've gotten around that problem quite elegantly.
Okay.
So this is good because we've done all of the key things that the introduction needs to do for IELTS writing.
Well,
So
can I just comment here? I'm no longer happy with this because we now have two do tos. This is poor syntax to have two do tos. So what we could do with this, simply make one a because and one a due to, just for the sake of syntax and not
okay.
repeating phrases. We could say, particularly because of their familiarity with technology. However, older people have their own leadership advantages largely, and I think because fits better here
Because of.
because of their extensive experience, or their we could put extensive there or not. Maybe
I
not.
think something that's really important, that this is one reason I wanted to do this live, is you can see that we're adjusting it as we go. So nobody ever well, I don't know, maybe Shakespeare or someone, but almost no one ever writes the perfect thing straight away.
Yeah.
That's super important to know. So going back, reading again, changing individual words, moving things around is just as big a part of writing well as the actual choosing the words and knowing the vocabulary and things like that. It's extremely important to go back and change and check and make sure that everything matches.
And we have a recommendation here from Ramelia saying, considering their experience. However, older people have their own leadership
Mm,
advantages, considering their extensive experience. I think it
I
could
like that.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. I think it can work. Why not? Let's go with it. Considering their extensive experience.
An extensive experience is good as well because we're bringing in that would be a collocation, right?
Yeah.
So
And I
that's,
think, also important to note that we've kind of hammered this out quickly, but there's a million variations here.
mhm.
That we could do this a billion different ways, and we're just kind of going with one. Let's see if it flows, though. The discussion of whether younger or older people make better bosses has been raging for many years. From my perspective, younger people can make excellent leaders, particularly due to their familiarity with new technology. However, older people have their own leadership advantages considering their extensive experience. I think it flows pretty well. If we
I like
wanted to combine those into one sentence, you said you wanted to do one, we could do that without being too clunky by saying something like, from my perspective, younger people can make excellent leaders, particularly due to their familiarity with new technology, comma, whereas, and then we could use
Mhm.
whereas if we wanted to extend that, I think, pretty naturally. But I think having two sentences here is actually best for the sake of syntax.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn about so if you're not sure about all the grammar of this stuff, for example, what is the from my perspective, comma, younger people? This is called a dependent clause, right? This part,
Mhm.
or this is actually a type of clause that connects to a larger piece that stands by itself called an independent clause. And we have two different types, or several different types. Some of them are called prepositional phrases. Some of them are called dependent clauses. They're actually basically the same thing, but because this starts with from, we call it a prepositional phrase. Whereas if it starts a different way with, for example, whereas, we call it a dependent clause. If you want to learn all that clunky, messy stuff, you can check out my course on that. This would be a prepositional phrase, right?
I think so. Yes, I think you're right.
Okay.
So we can go to the
Albeit
first paragraph.
El Nari says albeit instead of however. No, it wouldn't work there. Wouldn't
No,
work.
albeit is quite different.
Yep.
That's quite a different one.
Albeit is usually followed by a very short phrase to negate, or to actually it has a different meaning. It's followed by a very short phrase that adds something about what you just said, and it's not a completely new point that goes against the previous thing.
Yeah, and it's
Like
sort of
if we
it
say, albeit not
softens it, it
completely,
weakens
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of just giving a bit more context rather than completely
Mhm.
going against.
It
All right.
muddies the waters. The
It
word
muddies the
albeit.
waters. Albeit not,
It is useful.
yeah. How do I finish that?
Albeit it is a common word.
Although albeit usually isn't followed by the word it, right? Albeit would be followed by then usually a negation, albeit
Not
or an
entirely.
adverb, albeit not, or
Oh,
albeit mostly, or something like that.
Anyway,
Anyway. All right.
so
Where do we go? We're not going to have room for the whole thing here. So here's what I'll do. As we move on, I'm going to copy this, and we'll review the whole thing later. By the way, I hope all of you are doing this along with us. What would you recommend in terms of a challenge to those watching? Should they be writing their own, choosing
I
different
think
points?
so. Yeah, I would suggest that you. We know what's coming, right? We have the plan here that you guys can see. You can see the first body paragraph is going to be about the advantages of younger bosses, and particularly about being tech savvy. And then the second paragraph is going to be about why older people make better bosses because they have more experience. So try to choose maybe one of them, and you can try writing your own paragraph as we go.
Sounds good to me.
Shall we do the next paragraph, Luke? Shall we
Moving
do
on.
text?
Let's move right along. I'm going to delete this, and then we'll look at it again later.
So, what I like to start with for a main body paragraph is a relatively short sentence that does two things. So, it's going to reference the topic of the essay, the whole essay topic, and it's going to reference the main point of this paragraph. So, I think for this one, we could say something like the primary advantage that younger bosses have is their tech savviness.
Let's say their aptitude.
Comfort with modern
Aptitude?
technology.
Huh?
Aptitude, yes, that's good. Aptitude with modern technology. So we've done two things. We've mentioned the topic of the essay, that's the advantage of younger bosses, and we've told the examiner or the reader what this paragraph is going to be about, which is aptitude with modern technology.
Now, would you ever recommend being a little less assertive by saying, for example, one of the, or is it just better to say just go for the?
I would say the advantage is too direct because you're saying there's only one. I like the primary advantage because it suggests that there are other ones as well, but this is like the biggest one that I think is the most important. But you could also say one of the advantages, particularly if you were going to say another advantage later of younger bosses, like, they have more energy, then you could definitely say one of the biggest advantages, and then the next paragraph,
Got it. Yeah, that
another
makes sense.
large advantage.
Amrit got here just a few. I want to acknowledge some of the comments we have coming through. Amrit says the discussion of whether younger or older people make better bosses has been raging for many years. Wait a
Yes,
second. Yeah,
that's from the introduction, though, right? That's
yeah, that's the introduction.
the
Wait a minute,
first
isn't that
sentence.
exactly what we said?
That's very good.
Oh, I mean, I think it's a little make better bosses. It's pretty much exactly word for word. If
Hmm.
it's not exactly word for word ours, so you'd want
That's
to try
probably, I think
variation
that's why
there.
we like it.
It's
We're
not.
like,
It's not
oh,
practice if
that's
you're
very
just
good.
copying. From my perspective, younger people can make excellent leaders, particularly due to their familiarity with new technology. That sounds good. However, older people have their own leadership advantages largely because of their experience. I think he's just writing down what we said there, which is
Mhm.
helpful for the rest
Oh,
of the
he
people
helped
in the chat.
copy. Yeah, thank you, Amrit.
Okay. Thank
That's
you.
very
We thought for
useful.
a second you were just. I realized
Well,
though it's exactly
keeping.
the same. Got to give
Yeah.
Amrit credit for being my second Kathy.
Yes. A
Uh,
better Kathy than Kathy.
tertiary Kathy. The primary
Yeah.
advantage implies that it emphasizes the word primary. Yes, and I think that is a good point that Francis made too. Is primary is not exclusive, so it suggests that others are there, but we don't have the time or space to talk about the others, so we're giving the main one, and that's what primary allows you to do. You can also say main. You can also say most obvious. You can also
Mm.
say,
The leading
yeah,
advantage,
leading. You
maybe,
can say so
and
many
things like
different
that.
things.
Yeah. And you wouldn't need to use advantage either. But anyway, we haven't got time for all of that.
Right.
Let's move along with the second. So we've done the first thing, which is like just introducing what this paragraph will be about. Now we have to explain in a bit more detail this idea. So we're not going to get into like examples, specific things yet. That comes next. Here we just want to like explain in a more rounded but a more general way what we're trying to say. Um, so we might say something like um, people under the age of 40 have grown up in a world with rapidly advancing technology and with the internet as a part
Okay. People
of
under
their.
the age of 40 have grown up.
Come on, Kathy, keep up. I've already forgotten what I said.
Okay. Sorry.
People under the age of 40 have grown up in a world full of rapidly developing technology.
Okay.
And as a consequence, uh, have had a great deal of exposure to um, technological innovations.
I feel that it's a little redundant on the developing technology.
That's true. Yeah.
As a consequence, they have had a great. They. How about this? They have developed. They tend to uh, have a
Mm.
strong intuition
Good. Yes.
for any new tech that comes along, or something like
No,
that.
I would say any new technology.
Okay.
We shouldn't. That comes along. Yeah. Yeah, very good. I like that. As a consequence, they tend to have a strong interest in any new technology that instead of comes along, let's put appears because comes along is it's more like spoken English. Yeah,
That appears.
that's really good. People under the age of 40 have grown up in a world, and this is what you have to do. You have to, like, after every few sentences, read it back and make sure it's going the right way.
Yeah.
People under the age of 40 have grown up in a world full of rapidly developing technology. As a consequence, they tend to have a strong intuition for any new technology that appears.
I
That's
don't
really good.
like the use of two technologies, but it's okay.
It's okay for now, I would say.
How
We're
about
in a.
this? Any new We could say hardware, software, platforms.
Yeah. Software could work.
Because then you're allowed to you can mention something else instead of repeating yourself. They have a strong for any new platforms, software, or devices that
Nice.
appear.
Very
Does that
good.
work?
Yeah, that's good. Throwing in some vocabulary there.
Yeah, that's an opportunity. Any time you find yourself saying something twice, you may have an opportunity there to put in something else. Even though it's okay to say things twice, but you can be more specific if you give a few examples. And it's not the main point of this essay, but why not?
Flexibility of vocabulary and expression is very important for getting a high score.
And then Amrit says they can work more efficiently. Could we add there, comma, allowing them to work more efficiently?
Yes, I think so. That's a very good point.
More efficiently, or than their older counterparts, or just more
I think
efficiently?
I think that would be good. Yeah, than their older counterparts.
Than their older
The little
than the
spelling
older
mistake.
farts.
Than their older counterpanes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm quite happy with that. Other than the misspelling of there, as
Where? Oh,
it sounds,
you don't like that I misspelled there?
it looks quite.
I've been doing okay so far.
It looks a bit Lord of the Ringsy, a bit Middle Earth.
Yeah, I need a weird looking A. Don't worry,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Elvish.
Yeah, Via, son of
Yeah.
Viron.
It's it's dark speech. Don't worry about it.
And I will not utter it here. Anyway, so then I think this is good enough in an exam situation for explaining that point. We're going to jump now into an example. So now we could use video conferencing. So we could say, for example, in recent years, there has been a rapid increase in the use of video conferencing with apps such as with software such as Zoom and Google Meets.
In recent years, there's been a rise in the use of video conferencing software, such as Zoom and Skype. Nobody uses Skype. I got to give Skype a shout out because it's dead.
Yeah. Which could we continue this sentence and say which has been more readily embraced by younger leaders rather than older?
Here's my case for not doing it. I think we have a lot of these. We have a lot of sentences structured with an independent clause or an independent clause with a dependent clause before it. We have some, I think, common patterns in the structuring of these sentences. And so I would tend to go with a short, punchy sentence for the sake of syntax. I think sometimes we get into the habit of thinking that long sentence equals good sentence. And sometimes if you just say something really punchy in a short sentence, it has a lot of power.
Absolutely. Variety is very good. And yeah, like you want to kind of, if you imagine it as boxing, a longer sentence is quite often sort of working the body. As you can see, I'm not a boxer, but working the body and building up to something. And then your short sentence is the knockout blow. It's the thing that puts your opponent down. It's the one that has the power. So
let's make a punchy sentence there to sum up this point here, such as
what is your knockout blow going to be?
In recent years, there's been a rise in the use of video conferencing software such as Zoom. I don't think I need a comma there, do I? Such as Zoom and Skype.
Younger leaders have embraced this change.
Younger leaders have embraced younger leaders, how about this? Younger leaders have taken full advantage
Good.
of these tools. How about that?
That's very nice. I like that. So when we go back and we read, in recent years, there has been a rise in the use of video conferencing software, such as, a little spelling mistake in conferencing there. You've written conferencing.
Isn't that how it's spelled?
Yeah. Software such as Zoom and Skype. Younger leaders have taken full advantage of these tools. Yes, that's very nice.
Kapow, as I say.
Nice.
Yoink.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
By a short sentence.
When exactly. When the person who's grading that reads it, literally a fist comes out of the paper. And it wakes them up.
Yeah.
Think about what it's like for them reading these monotonous essay after essay. If you can grab their attention with interesting syntax, that's a 1-2 punch. They're going to notice you, and that's good.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on.
It's just, I think all we need now is a conclusion sentence.
Oh, damn. I thought that was
it. We want to link this back. We want to say something like, it's essentially the first sentence of this paragraph, but in different words. So we could say, something like, therefore.
Oh, geez. Therefore.
Not a fan of therefore. Is that a bit too British?
Whatever. IELTS is British, so hey, IELTS is British. Let's do it. I'm not against a therefore.
I have to back up my therefore though. Therefore, no. Actually, I don't want to do it. I want to say this is just one instance of the technological advantages that younger leaders can provide. Ooh, now we can't see it.
Hold on. Give me a second. I will make it a little smaller. Bear with me here. I just need to make it, let's go 28. There we go.
Yeah.
Haha, hoo-hoo. Let's just do 28.
Go.
That gives us, hopefully that's still visible.
Mm-hmm.
And are you happy with this?
I like it. The final sentence there, this is just one instance of, one instance rather than once instance. One instance.
How dare you correct me?
It is my nature. One instance of the technological advantages that younger leaders can provide. The point of this is that we're again reminding the reader or the examiner of like what the whole paragraph was about.
Nice little package.
And what the essay itself is about. And this is important for, in IELTS terms, the task achievement score and the coherence and the cohesion score as well. So, which you can think of together as kind of the organization part.
Software advice here, allowing them to work more efficiently than their older counterparts. In recent years, there has been a rise in the use of video conferencing software such as Zoom and Skype. Younger leaders have taken full advantage of these tools. Counterpunch. This is just one instance of the technological advantages that younger leaders can provide.
It's very nice. I like it. This is a good paragraph. I think, Luke,
if the examiner can survive it.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want to pummel the examiner all the way to death. So how about we skip to the conclusion now? Now, there should be a second body paragraph about the other
Because,
side,
yeah, for the
about
sake of
your
time,
experience.
I
Yeah.
think for the sake of time, let's go ahead and skip to the conclusion. We're a little short on time, but at least we've done a main point, and so we got the idea. That'll be a good challenge
Mhm.
for people to take on. Can you write the second paragraph, which would be focusing on the more experienced part of older leaders, supporting that, wrapping it up in a nice little bow like we've done here.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's
And I
do the
think,
conclusion.
something that would be good actually would be if people can, if you do want to have a try, you can, if you're watching this live or you're watching it later, have a try at writing that second body paragraph, as Luke said, and post it in the comments, and let us have a look. And I'll choose a few, and I might make a video about them as well. I might make a video to mark some of those second paragraphs. So
Yes.
good luck. So then the conclusion, my good man.
Okay, so fine. I call it final thoughts, but whatever.
Yeah. What
So
would
for a
you put in?
generalized essay,
Yeah.
final thoughts, because it's not always going to be a conclusion for IELTS, should be a conclusion.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I come at things largely from an IELTS angle,
Yeah.
given my background. But yes, you're
Yeah.
right. So how would you summarize what we've talked about? What would you put in here, Luke?
What type of length do you recommend here? Are we doing one or two sentences generally, or a little longer?
Yeah. I think, yeah, in IELTS, given the time restrictions, we're looking 1 to 2 sentences. That's about right. If you do have more time and you want to write a little bit more and you want to, ask some questions of your reader or things like that, that's totally fine. But yeah, like it has to be at least 1 sentence, and I think 2 is usually the minimum to make it very effective.
Okay. There'll be an Easter egg for those watching later that Francis didn't see what I just wrote. Okay. So if we're going sort of more formal academic essay, we need to use the sort of traditional language of a conclusion. So we could say, we could always say in conclusion. I find it a little boring to use in conclusion. Do you recommend people go with something that formulaic or try something a little more creative?
I think if you have a better style, or you, Luke, or people in general, then give it a try. But formulaic things like in conclusion, they are safe, which is why people use them. So it's a little boring, but it's a safe thing to do. With all this in mind, I like that one. Yeah, that's good.
How about with all this in mind? Because
Yeah, let's
to
keep that
sum
one.
things up is going to tell me that I'm going to just say what I said, which is we are going to do. But with all this in mind, puts us in the frame of being open to something potentially new. And then we
That's true.
pull
Yeah,
the
that's
rug
fair
out and don't say anything new.
enough. With all this in
Welcome
mind,
to
please
academic
read.
essay writing.
With all this in mind, please read what I've just written because I've already
Yeah.
written it.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't I make it clear? So essentially what we're doing here is we want to restate in a way that we haven't stated it yet. That's essentially what we're doing.
Exactly.
We're doing
Same
the
idea,
introduction
different
again
words.
in
Yes.
different words. And our introduction, to remind people, is the discussion of whether younger or older people make better bosses has been raging for many years. From my perspective, younger. So we were not stating the opinion, but we are kind of still restating it. How would you go?
So I might say, with all this in mind, it is clear that both younger and older leaders each have their own strengths. Oh no, well, we're going to delete both. The younger and older leaders each have their own strengths.
Well, you're going to delete this both?
I was going to delete this both, yes. because each is doing the same job. So,
Yup.
and I might say notably with a comma rather than ending. Notably in actually no let's I don't think I can make that work.
With all this in mind, it is clear that younger and older leaders each have their own strengths when it comes to leading others, leadership, when it comes to managing.
Yes, managing, exactly.
Companies, teams, management.
When it comes to management, yeah.
Okay.
And you might say something like, ideally, we would mention
I wrote ideally. Oops.
Oh, yeah. Luke, what are you going to write next?
Okay.
Luke, what are you going to write? So I think ideally we would mention the two main points again. It's not an absolute must, but it's a good thing to do.
Okay.
So say something like whether it in the area of technology or the accumulation of experience. Oh, and
Now,
sorry,
do we need to specify for younger people in?
This would be a new sentence. Yeah. Or the accumulation of experience. Each age group can provide strong or can provide high quality leaders.
Whether in the area of technology or accumulation of experience, each age group is uniquely. Oops, that butchered that. I'll get back to it. Equipped to lead companies and people.
Indeed, that's nice.
Uniquely.
L-Y.
I did it.
Uniquely.
Uniquely.
One L.
Oh, sorry. Oops. Dang it. Almost had it. With all this in mind, it is clear that younger and older leaders each have their own strengths when it comes to management. Whether in the area of technology or the accumulation of experience, each age group is uniquely equipped to lead companies and people.
Very nice. So we've mentioned the topic of the essay, we've mentioned our main points, and we've mentioned, not in direct sort of, this is my opinion, but in a pretty clear way, we've mentioned what our opinion is as well. And those are the basic things that we have to do. What we can also do is to ask some kind of question afterwards as well, or leave some kind of final thought about maybe a suggestion for the future. Something like, can we all work together to bring those advantages, or something like that. But at the very least, we need to have these parts to make a solid conclusion.
I think it works pretty well. So this has been great. This has been a harrowing yet fascinating experience of going through all of these steps and actually writing the essay itself. Bit of a high wire act, but it's been fun. And so I guess the challenge is, it was unplanned, but we skipped paragraph number 3. Paragraph number 3 is the paragraph about why experience would give someone an advantage in terms of leadership. So look at the examples. Hopefully you got a screenshot. Perhaps we could put that in the comments somewhere, or look for that as a pinned comment. Take the structure of paragraph 2, study sort of what it's doing, and then try your own for paragraph 3 about experience and leadership. We would love to take a look. If you want to put it in the comments for either wherever you're watching, you can also, I have a free Discord that you can join. If you find me on Cloud English, you can join the Discord. You can pop that into the Discord if you like. I would be happy to take a look. And also, we're doing this as a Cyber Monday special event, so there's special, super good prices happening now around all courses on Udemy. So if you want to check out Francis's essay writing course, you can do so on Udemy. That is at the lowest price that we're allowed to offer it without getting in trouble. Actually, period. You can't even do it lower. And the same for me. So if you check out our respective courses, mine's more general about writing fundamentals. Francis is specifically essay writing. I think they probably complement each other pretty well in terms of content and structure. Unplanned, but I think it's interesting. And like and subscribe wherever you're watching. Also, you can check out any of the other links. Watch or listen if you want to listen to the podcast later. You can subscribe there. Subscribe to Francis, all that stuff. Francis, thank you for doing this. Is there anything else you want to mention or add about anything?
No, I think that's it.
Didn't you have something you wanted to share at the end? A special link you do or something?
Yes, you're right. So
I have nothing to share at the end. You guys get nothing for free from me.
Yeah. So the exciting thing for people who are watching this, let's say probably like the end of November, anyone watching live right now, and anyone watching towards the end of November, and probably the first 1 week of December, is that right now the course that we've been working through is available for free.
Hey.
So you don't have to pay anything. Now, that is only going to be until we finish. We're building a whole extra second huge part of the course, and that's going to come probably in the middle of December. So
what is the current length of the course?
Right now, it's about 1 hour and 57 minutes.
Okay.
So, yes, it is the first kind of, you can get started. You can get started learning all of the things that we do in that course, learning how to do this step-by-step process. And then later in a few weeks, we're going to actually start asking people to pay money to take the course. So don't miss your opportunity. Now is the chance, the only chance that you'll have to get this course for free.
Awesome.
So that is, I think, also available under this video, Luke. Is that right? Under this live stream?
We didn't add it to the basic links, but where's a good place to find it?
Well, you can go to Udemy. It's available on Udemy, and it's called Master English Essays. So if you click through one of the links down here to one of my courses, there's the IELTS Complete Guide course, which is also very good, getting you ready for IELTS. There's the Advanced English Vocabulary course, which is good for exams. It's also good for improving your general English. You can click through to those. That will take you to Udemy. And from there, you can find my account and look at the courses. And the free one is Master English Essays.
Got it.
But
okay.
Only free for about 10 more days.
So you can't find Francis's Udemy courses in the links and just find the writing course there. Mine is not free, but it is a low price. So check that out as well. And thank you all so much for watching. Papu says, Francis, you're a great listener and speaker as well. I couldn't agree more. Thank you. I learned as well. Enjoyed a lot. And Amrit says, Amrit's just writing down the paragraphs we did. Useful. I'm going to send that to you on WhatsApp, Francis, if you want to also share that around or put that in the comments, or maybe make it a pinned comment, the essay that we did under under your version of the video, that would probably work. So.
And remember as well, everyone, if you want to write that second body paragraph, I'm going to go through probably in about maybe 1 week time to give you guys a little chance. And I'll make another video, a follow-up video, where I mark some of those paragraphs and I tell you, okay, this is very good, or this I would change a little bit. I find any grammar mistakes, things like that. So if you'd like that, that treatment, good or bad treatment, then just write it in the comments and I'll come to that. But it has to be, I think, Luke, in the comments on my channel. I'm not sure.
Yes.
We've never done this
So
before.
Francis's Last Minute English, mine is Cloud English. So if you want Francis to look at it, I won't be checking anyone's writing. No, if you want me to see it, you want to join the Discord. But if you want Francis to take a look, you have to go to Last Minute English on YouTube. Just search it and put it there. Don't put it on Cloud English. Well, you can, but I'll click. There's a heart thing when you respond to things on YouTube. I'll click the heart on there.
You'll take 0.5 seconds to go. Yep.
I read every single comment, but I don't always respond. But I do respond to every single comment on my Discord. That's for special people. So.
Very good.
All right. Well, thanks, Francis. This has been a tour de force. So 2 hours and 16 minutes. Pretty epic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for
hope we can do it
hosting.
again sometime. This has been fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody,
you
for
very much.
joining. Take care, everybody. See you next time. See you on Wednesday. I'll be back on Wednesday to the usual routine, my usual thing. So, well, that's for those watching me. But if you're not, then ignore what I just said. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later.